block will be about data, how, like, we will listen to their lessons learned on data sharing, data collection, and data integration. The second block will be on the barriers and enablers that they have faced on innovative insurance solutions. And the third one that have been repeatedly through the day, it will be about governance, multi-level governance, and the importance of listening, not hearing, but listening to stakeholders. So we will begin with this block of introduction. I will ask each of you to briefly, 2 minutes, explain the context and that you are facing. So I'll begin with Marina. What is your most pressing climate risk, and who is the most affected in your region?
Our most pressure climate risk was the Valencia thesis study. Just to a little thing about case study was is a wetland, so and it's near the coast. So our thing was the extreme rainfall events, the coastal flooding, and the wildfires. They are very strongly linked with the rain and rain patterns at the Mediterranean coast, at the Mediterranean areas, that we are aware of our climate and we know these things happened in our lands, but because of the climate change, these extreme events are more intense and less predictable. So now we have to face that there's more people affected, residents, small farmers, administration that manages water management and infrastructures, the natural assets as the wetland that we were working on, and the surrounding industries. So this is the situation that we were facing, and now we all have to try to look for a common path in order to prevent and control the damage that we suffer. Thank you.
Thank you. Tanya,
Yes.
could you tell us also about what is the most pressing climate risk?
Yes, just like many other places across the globe, my city, Gavrovo, also has a multi-hazard profile. And this is predominantly defined by the fact that the city is developed along the Iantra River, which is crossing and dividing the city. And it is the floods that could be discriminated as the main challenge, but they are not the only challenge that we face in our times, and that will be the challenges in the future times. It is also the fact that the heat waves and the droughts are affecting us very much and quite severely, which creates, of course, additional, or as we define them as secondary, devastating risks of wildfires. And of course, this is associated with another negative challenges. We have to say also that because of the geography and the mountainous slopes that we have, they are exposed to the violent southern winds. And sometimes they can cause, and they really cause, very quick snow melting, which, combining all these events like winds, like snow melting, of course, heavy and unpredicted raining, this results in mudslides and landslides. And logically, all these challenges and all these hazard experiences, they affect predominantly the citizens, the businesses, especially those that are situated in border areas close to the forest. And we have a lot of forest in the city and around the city. And last but not least, the municipal infrastructure is part of the challenges that we have to consider how to protect and sustain with different measures that are also part of the project that we work together. Thank you.
Maria?
Okay, so we work in the case study Bavaria in Germany. our case study focuses on climate risks to agricultural assets, so Germany agricultural sector comprises an important part to the economy, a bit under 1% of the GDP, and the most important climate risk for this sector is drought and heat waves, but also very much spring costs. So earlier development of plants and the corresponding damage from frost events, but also increased severity of hailstorms and frequency and heavy rain. It's in 2018 there was a big drought which caused around 6 billion euros of damage in the agricultural sector, and the coverage of annual drought risk is really low. There's almost very little penetration of insurance for drought. So there is a requirement for state support. Most farmers are affected by at least one of these perils.
Thank you. An interesting noise in the back. Paul, can you share with us?
To give you some context, our second case study region is the DAR region in Croatia, and we also focus on agriculture there, especially on drought insurance, because drought and heat waves are a major risk for agriculture in Croatia, and they are expected to increase in the future. And we conducted a survey in the beginning of the project where we wanted to know how farmers in Croatia view climate risks and if they have experience with it and with insurance. And 67% of the farmers told us that they had already experienced some kind of natural hazard, and 64% have experienced damage.
Our case is focusing on heat waves. But today I was so again, and I spoke with Dionis Mata and Violeta Cuculeto, our partners, insurers. And I understand that heat waves is a second consequence that it could be connect with other climate risks. The priority climate risk with which we could connect heat waves is fires. And we suffer from fires in West Athens. From statistical data, heat waves are responsible for more of weather related in Europe, and they could connect with health problems too, with infrastructure problems too, and financial risk for the business. And I think that Soteria focuses on these separate parts that each one part. In the second questions, in the second question, which is most affected, because in West Athens, these risks are amplified by the vulnerabilities, both social vulnerabilities and structural vulnerabilities, such as densely populated areas, high energy poverty, and widespread poverty. So those who are most affected are vulnerable groups, and we try, by this program, to focus on these groups too.
Thank you. Valeria? Well, we have been severely affected by two subsequent extreme events on May 1st, 2, 4, and 16, 17 that provoked flooding in the lower part of the town, and especially thousands of landslides that compromised accessibility and several networks for days. The two main entrances to the town were cut and the closure lasted for the several days. Temporary measures were put in place to allow the connection with Faenza, the largest city downstream in the plain area, it as well by flooding during the event. Among the main challenges, the interruption of businesses and in particular of the Altiform, where 230 of people of Modigliana work and which is essential for the survival of the local economy and the town itself. So for us, climate change means something very tangible. Floods have always threatened the municipality, but such extreme events have occurred more frequently recently, and due to the special conformation of the valley, intense concentrated precipitation may lead to such extremes.
Thank you. And Betty, could you also share with us?
Yes, the context of the Trøndelag case study has been procurement of property insurance in the municipality. In Trøndelag, the main climate change is increased precipitation and torrential rain, which of course lead to floodings, landslides, and also increased degradation of the buildings and infrastructure. And they're working with the procurement and risk assessment. The main problem in this region is that we have 38 municipalities in the region which lack resources, both competences, it's labor and money. And and most of these municipalities, they are small and medium-sized. Only 4 of them have more than 20,000 inhabitants. So it's and there's also a very large turnover of professionals in the municipality, which means that there is little continuity in the work. So in the Trøndelag, in 10 years ago, they established this network climate change adaptation, which have been very successful in the Norwegian context by working to assist all this municipality in their work with climate change adaptation. And what we, in the Soteria project, we have used the network and worked with the network to chase and to follow the challenge that few Norwegian municipalities today have requirements for procurement of property insurance that include climate change adaptations risks and criteria. So that has been what we have worked with. What are the criteria we should have, and how should we work with it? That we have worked with on a regional level.
Thank you very much. So then, after this block of introduction in the context of each of the case studies, I didn't know where to stand up. I thought it went better here. So we like COVID is fine. So we will begin with the first block that is about data. So as we have heard on previous sessions, effective climate adaptation depends on access to reliable and usable information on climate risk and losses. In this block, experts will share their experiences on how they are addressing these data challenges in practice and the lessons that can be drawn for improving climate risk and loss information system. This will be followed by a 5-minute Q&A from the public. So we have 15 minutes, and I'll ask different questions to each of you. So I'll begin, Tanya, with Gabriel. And I would like to ask you, how is climate risk data currently stored and shared across your institutions?
Well, first of all, I will say something that is probably common to many parts of Europe, but especially for my country, sorry, and my city. And it is the fact that until recently, and I can divide timing until before Soteria and after Soteria, we have been dealing only with information registers. We were not knowing how to manage properly data. And we know that data is something that is very fundamental for the quality of the decision that we must take, especially the decisions that will impact the living of people, of citizens, and also that are important for the competitiveness of our territories. And in this regard, what Soteria did and what is really very important is, especially for my country and for my municipality, to bring all the key partners together and make them realize that it is not the fact that we are missing information data, we are missing the ability to work together and to collaborate, and before all of this, to communicate. So this is something that is really fundamental for the success of our engagement in Soteria, and not only, because after that we realize that we can make benefits, all of us, and we can use this data as something that is strategically crucial for the implementation of our work, but not as sectoral experts, but of course relying on our specific responsibilities, whether it will be water management, energy management, or just data collection for climate prevention. We can be engaged in creating a kind of a data management hub, which is something that I, as a politician and as a mayor of a medium-sized municipality in Bulgaria, have placed in my priorities, and I hope that I will manage somehow to attract the resources and the partners. Actually, the partners are here. And by realizing this and also trying to communicate this to the national level, we are now confident that this is something that will help not just the municipality, not just the authority that is engaged with monitoring the quality of the waters or whatever. It will help the development of the whole territory, and it will be very helpful for investing money in creating opportunities rather in managing with the consequences of the disasters that are threatening all of us. And in this regards, the focus to know how to collect, how to communicate, how to interact with the institutions that have crucial data is really strategic for all levels of administrations and of institutions and stakeholders engaged with policy developments. European level, it sets the framework, but it is the national. We don't have in Bulgaria regional, but in many countries there is regional, and the local, where actually all that it is designed, devised, or planned is be proved on local platform. That's why cities are really considered as laboratories, and I think Gabu is one of these laboratories.
Thank you very much. So, Dimitris, have you collaborated with insurers or on loss data or risk mapping? And if not, why not?
I will change my answer, and it's bad for me because I was listening and there were three, two, or one magical gold. That's together, collaboration, not standalone. And I like this program because someone could say that it's more for environmental, from economic sciences, but it's not. It's human science. It's for human science too. And it teaches us the collaboration and the story, because all this is life. Sometimes you forget this. And the story I would like to narrate to you with 3 words. It's maybe the best title is called Association, Hellenic Association Insurance Companies. And this is our basic, our partner. And this isn't an association insurance company, but immediately in the start, we have collaborated, we wanted to collaborate with a national insurance company that it was a standalone company. This was unlucky because this does not work out by the lack of time. So we collaborated with Nike, and the basic lesson we learned is that an association could secure industry-wide participation and collaboration. And and with the collaboration of Democritus, it's a sales center for climate risk increase. We collaborate too. They did a research of data, and the data is the first step to actions. And in the actions is the thematic of insurance.
Thank you very much. And so, Marina, what lessons learned could you share with other municipalities or regions on this?
So, okay, at the Valencia region, we have learned 2 main things. One is what already they has said, that Soteria has helped to put everyone at least at the same room, to be able to share and knowledge and to go to the detail. Because we, at Valencia at least, we do have information. So there's a very good platform, which is the cartographical visor, which has not only the risk data, not as developed in this project, but it's a good platform with flooding, with the use of land, the catastrophe, and it goes to the very 1 meter distance. So it's cool, but then you need to have the information from the inside. So the stakeholders know how this river works. For example, even if this area you can build, I mean, in law speaking, but maybe you shouldn't, because they know, no, something happened there years ago and things like that. So this is a thing that we have to take into account. And we've learned that we have info, but it's fragmented. And sometimes, even if you have the information, the municipalities don't have the expertise or the resources. So at Soteria, we kind of changed the way to the draft of the director plan to manage this wetland. And we've been doing and working on a participative process, asking the stakeholders once and again, putting them in the same room and sharing the responsibility and making them part of the process.
Thank you very much. And then Valeria, now for you. Where do you see the greatest potential to improve how data flows between departments or institutions in your region?
In our experience in Modigliana, but also working in other municipalities affected by disaster in Italy, in twinning support a project for public administration, there is room for improvement. In fact, in Italy, there is an established and standardized un procedimento standardizzato procedure for post-disaster damage and loss assessment only in case of earthquake. For other risks, such as floods, or extended landslide phenomena. Non-standard exist and the overall procedure from initial needs assessment to the establishment of recovery project design and implementation is based on the ordinance system. This means that for any change in the required budget, one must wait for the next ordinance and the national level that require quite a bit of time to approve it and issued. This is particular true for the damage to public assets such as public facilities and networks. For provide after access, there is an information system called Sphinge that nevertheless is quite cumbersome to use and in fact in some planes could be fine in all starting from spring 2024, meaning 1 year after the events.
We were able to involve the largest Norwegian insurance provider for municipalities, and we have worked together with them in the network. And together we have organized 3 large thematic meetings focusing on different aspects of insurance, loss data and risk assessment. The municipalities have previously worked and been introduced to risk assessment. However, the role of insurance and also how risk can be used in the procurement procedures, that is new to both municipalities and also the insurance. So yeah. Apart from that, we also, since we have worked together in this manner, it's very important that people work with finance, having insight into climate and climate change adaptation, and also vice versa, that the people work on climate change get better insight into finance and procedures. And we are also, and in the municipality, these are often different people. So to bring these together is another example of how to collaborate and do new things. And we all heard Luis present this data sharing and the software model this morning. And this we have used together with the municipalities to say something about the risk in this Trøndelag region, which is in the middle of Norway. So we think we have really benefited of this collaboration in the Soteria.
Thank you so much. And before we end this block, I would like to go back to you, Tania. So we have heard from our colleagues here, I think a lot of times collaboration and everyone being in the same table. So I wanted to ask you 2 things. One is, what aspect of Soteria's data work, like loss and damage, ontology, KPIs, risk assessment, feels the most relevant for your reality? And the second one, if you could imagine an ideal data ecosystem in a few years in Gabrovo, what feature will make the biggest difference for you?
Well, thank you for this question because it is really quite engaged with the strategic approach that we must have to this topic. And I would like to start by saying that everything in Soteria we found very useful and important for our work. It includes both the ontology of the KPIs and also the loss and damage data. But as I had mentioned, and I think this is something very fundamental, especially for municipalities and the opportunity to work in a professional way, it is to work and to have regional data hub. Hub that is really providing us at least with both important components: the size and scope of the problem, and also the opportunities to have different scenarios, and to, how to say it, if I have to use the digital twins, it is not exactly, but to have different scenarios, and to be able to choose the most appropriate one. So when you are engaged, when you are provided with the best possible or better tools, then you will provide and produce good decisions. And this will bring also something very important for me. It is the reward for the people behind the work. This is the the administration, because without the people like them, we can do nothing. And we need to have administration people that are working, that are motivated and rewarded by the results and by the solutions that they are part of. And of course, this is an opportunity to have similar a digital hub. This will provide us not to use Soteria, but also to engage the tools that we produce and that we have as a result of many other projects that are relevant to the topic of data management and the utilization of data for societal opportunities, not only social, not only economic, but of course resilient. We are now learning how to work in a more complex way in Bulgaria. We are now engaged, and my city is part of this, in managing integrated projects that are within our cities, and with many different partners funded by different sources. So this will be also useful to have this information managed in a proper way and properly communicated. If I have to mention something that could be ideal, it is, of course, to have this platform in good operation, and to have the visualization that could speak to all of us, nevertheless, of the depending of the role that we have. Because after certain hour, I'm a citizen, and in the morning, I'm an expert or a person who must take a difficult decision, and this decision must be the best possible at the current moment. So I think we have to use the capacity of the people who are experts, the technologies that we have, with the idea to provide quickly, because time is really very dynamic, to provide quickly the solutions that will prevent our societies. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we have 5 minutes? Yes. So now we have 5 minutes of questions from the public, if there's questions. And if not, we can continue. No questions.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for giving us this overview of diversity, right? Diversity situations. There are some common points in this diversity, no? We hear that the data is important, access to data is important, that building systems from the municipalities may not be possible, so regional data hubs may be relevant. So that brings us to discussions this morning on scalability and connectivity and so on. Finance is another big challenge. So do you have any idea on how we can actually link data with finance? Because obviously the financial institutions are getting interested, the banks are getting interested, and what we are probably looking for is not a single finance solution. So does anyone has insights about what are the challenges that your regions or your cities are facing or mobilizing finance?
Anyone that feels happy to respond to the question?
If I may start, without funding, without financing, we can do almost nothing. We can only discuss interesting and good projects or opportunities. But I think that's the common thing between funding, financing, and data is the opportunity of economic and social benefits, which I can define as competitiveness, because resilience now means competitiveness for me. And if we manage to communicate resilience as an opportunity to drive economic and social development, then maybe we can unleash the public-private partnership in a better version. So I'm not sure that I'm correctly responding to your question, but this is what I really think that I miss. I miss the component of the private investors, including the banking, because with proper financing tools, with the opportunity to mix different financial instruments, I think we could be much more efficient, and we will not be so much dependent as in Bulgaria on the European funding. This is one of the options, but not the only one. So we must be flexible and open to collaborations.
I will say the collaboration here is the key. That's what we learned most. Yes, for climate risk to play a larger role in insurance procurement, municipalities and the industry must work more closely together. And this involves both reflection of knowledge sharing on both risk and procurement, as said, or also joint development of requirements, like criteria for damage prevention and sustainability. Also training and capacity building across sectors, as you heard me. And we should have some shared arenas for meetings. And there, Soteria has really been a very good example, since a research project is a very neutral arena, and then insurance and insurance brokers can come, even though they normally compete. We can come in a neutral fora together with a lot of municipalities and research, and we can have workshops and discuss and come up with, what you say, proposals for criteria and requirements. So, yeah, other lessons learned can be that, okay, he had a really benefit of this network of climate adaptation with this 38 municipality that was established 10 years ago. So we have this like start with renew what the municipality, what kind of challenges they have, so we can dig into insurance quite fast. Yes, and of course, the requirements for climate adaptation and resilience in procurement in the municipality is that it's very little studied topic. So we have raised a lot of awareness about insurance, and there's a strong need to learn more. Yeah. And we also actually, the gatherings we had, they laid the groundwork for a shared chronicle in the primary news platform for municipalities in Norway, focusing on this, the climate and the adaptation, the damage prevention in municipality and insurance procurement, the importance of that. So we were very happy with that.
Thank you very much. Paul? What are the biggest behavioral barriers among your citizens or farmers?
I mean, we heard some of the main barriers earlier presented by Melina. She presented some results from the second study we conducted together with Behavior Smart among Croatian farmers and farmers in Zadar. And just want to add in my own words that small and medium scale farmers, especially, mainly believe that insurance will not give them what they need. And the understanding of insurance and its products is generally low among farmers in Croatia, even though insurance companies try to educate them. For example, drought is always covered through parental insurance, but farmers do not understand or trust it because it's not damage-based, and they do not really trust satellite data. They do not really trust data from precipitation measurement stations. Besides the affordability issues, farmers also think that there is no right insurance that covers the risk they want covered. And from our survey, we see that many farmers are aware of the possibilities of natural hazards, but there are still farmers who have not experienced natural hazards and damages caused by them, which is why they think it won't affect them in the future, or they think if it did, they could handle it themselves, or the state would help them. It's some bigger damage. And the conclusion, the biggest behavioral barriers that we see are that the key problems from buying insurance are that is an insufficient understanding how insurance operates, and the insufficient awareness about the possible future climate risks, although they were already experienced.
Thank you. And I would like to ask this question to Dimitris and Marias. So, like, maybe Maria, you can begin in that, Dimitris. But where do you see potential for insurance incentives?
In our case study, we were working together with a local insurer, Allianz Agrar, who's participating online, and University for Applied Sciences, Agricultural Sciences. And together with them, we designed also a survey to ask farmers. So we want to reach out to the risk takers directly, it is hard. And as you said, if we don't have a network already existing, it's you have to build this up, and it don't takes time, everything. But then we managed to get some responses from the agricultural community on potential measures from insurance companies to improve climate change adaptation, or at least improve insurance uptake as a form of adaptation. So around 20 different ideas how the insurance company can support more. I won't go into all this, or some of the most popular ideas where provision of climate risk information to them. I think this is and also improved product explanation, which is really see that there is a struggle to understand insurance or the products. Also policy flexibilities, I think it was important point we could note. So not only the popularity, but also we asked how much that would influence their willingness to buy insurance. There was a bit less enthusiastic reaction to those, but there are some points that I think insurers can learn from. We will have let's say climate resilient dialogue, a second one in our region, where we will discuss these results also with all the stakeholders. From the insurance perspective, it is good to note, and what we've gathered is that they see mainly one of the main way forward is to increase the state risk sharing, they take a part of the risk and take responsibility also on the development of this incentivizing adaptation. We have also one local partner here, or from Germany, which is interesting.
Thank you, Dimitris.
Okay. There are a lot of common parts answer of Maria's answer. This is not my favorite question because it's a little bit specific, the first part, but I will try to describe as I think. The first maybe incentive would be the obvious part, like a reduction of the speed, increase of speed of payments for one hand, and the reduction of the price of the second hub. But if we're going to focus on headwinds, we could suggest models that it's not the private risk the headwinds, but the private risk is, for example, a consequence of headwinds, like, for example, fires. We don't insurance for fire, but fire could correlate with red waves. And we could, for the future, for like innovation, to create these models, pilot models for fires, and in the courses we could write with data of the heat waves and how we could correlate heat waves with fires. And another one is like incentive. Maybe it would be the law. It would be that collaboration with public or a motivation for public administration to private insurance. For example, there is a law in Greece from 2024 that proposed a tax reduction if the people in excellent homes in the people insurance their homes. So it would be a motivation. And finally, it's the data collection and the share data, and how we could connect this data, this real risk, with the insurance market and the reality of the insurance market this time and for the future.
Thank you very much. So I'll jump to the third block, that it's about governance. And because we only have 15 minutes, I'll ask only 3 of the panelists some of the questions, and then we can try to wrap up and like share in 1 minute our lessons learned. I promise that we will have everything printed so you can read it, and because the responses are really good. So I'll go to the third one, and I would like to ask you, Valeria, if you could share with us what financial, like taking into account what Maria Jose said later, like before, and Tania responded, what are the financial obstacles that are most critical for you?
For the former question, the system based on ordinance is not very effective from a financial perspective. In fact, it put in place a system that the fall is stop and go, meaning that each time additional budget or a modification is required, one must wait for the approval of a new ordinance. This non-standardized procedure that relies on ad hoc ordinance that must be issued at each new event for scratch without relying on a stable and standard procedure provoked significant delays in the implementation of repair and reconstruction. The major assessment is clearly an activity that cannot be carried on out once forever, that are updates aspects that could not be detected at first survey. Scusate, il mio inglese è pessimo.
Wait, no, your English is not word. Like, and the thing is that, like, our native language is like we all have a different language. And that's the beautiful of this, right? Like we have been saying in Soteria that we should go to the local and the differences between us, which make us richer. So I'm super glad that you're here and that you are brave enough to stand up and speak in English. So no, yeah. Right. So, Marina,
So we would like you to share with us, like, which aspect of Soteria stakeholder, more like of the community of practice processes, was most valuable for your territory.
So in our territory, we, by talking with them at the sectoral meetings, at the workshop, we were aware that they were motivated, but sometimes they get lost when they don't see the results. So in our case, it was very important to keep them engaged, to make sure that the public administration, the policymakers are coordinated, line with a policy continuity, and also we were able to have a space, like physical space, which is at the wetland, in order to they could meet there and also beyond this project, so they can share knowledge, share their wonders, how they see their land is going to be planned and shared. So it's been a nice thing to have. It is called the Rosetta Lab, and I hope you could join us there.
Thank you. And Tanya, also talking about governance, how does your territory coordinate climate adaptation across sectors and departments?
Well, this is really the very crucial question and very important one, because without the proper coordination and internal management, I think nothing will be sustainable. And I'm really very happy to be part of a municipality which is engaged with sustainable policies for many, many years. And here I would like to mention that we were the municipality that was the founder in the late 90s of the small Bulgarian Association of Municipalities, which engaged in energy efficiency policies. And this was something very, very important. It was in the 90s, just a few years after our transition from the socialist period. This gave us the motivation that to be ambitious is also relevant for Bulgarian municipalities. And here I would like to mention that the crucial transformation happened, I think, after becoming the member of the Covenant of Mayors in 2013, but actually the real emotional, administrative, and city transformation started to happen in 2021, when we were awarded the Green Leaf Award. Actually, we became the first city that was awarded that is part of the Southeastern Europe. That's why I'm saying this as something very, very important. And 1 year later, we became part of the climate mission. And this forced us, I'm using the word forced us as administration, to start thinking of the new governance models. On the one hand, this is something that is recommended for the cities that are part of the mission to consider how to establish their transition team. But in order to have an efficient transition team, which means to have all the different key experts inside an administration engaged to think, work, and contribute to one single strategic goal, which is very relevant to what they do on an everyday basis. But this is the model that will intervene in his everyday activities with my everyday activities. So when we speak about the fact that Soteria makes different stakeholders sit on a common table and talk about insurance and resilience, this is the step that we have to have inside our home in our houses in order to make our homes really comfortable. If I may use the metaphorical um, um, description, it is not an easy task. It is sometimes more difficult to make this internal transformation happen. But once it is realized, then it is really working. Now we can say that in my municipality, we are really speaking in a language that is commonly understood, which is something really very important. And we are willing to communicate in harmony to our citizens and to our businesses. And this is something very important. But this transformation happens slowly. It is a process, it is not a project. But all projects, and Soteria is widening our perspective, it is enriching our experience, and it is providing a very important tools, and all this will be very useful. Of course, the challenges are more now because we are, how to say, speaking about climate resilience, and there are political extremism that is attacking us. We hear comments and messages that are threatening our people, our citizens, but we are now not ashamed to work and to showcase and to engage people and businesses into formats that help us in this strategic journey. So this is really everyday activity, but it should be engaged with something that is strategically important and supported by tools and by opportunities to deliver. Otherwise, it will be just on the basis and in the field of scientists and people who are really engaged to be in a little bit more distant area. Although I will finish by using reference to one of the activities originally designed in Brussels, but very useful. There was an initiative supported by the European Parliament, Science Needs Regions. And this was really very important for starting the conversation and for connecting researchers with policymakers. And here, evidence-based policies were actually born. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. So you only have 4 minutes, and I was wondering if there's someone else in the panel that wants to wrap up, let's say, like in less than 1 minute, lessons learned, or if we should give the floor to the public and ask if they have questions. So is there anyone that has a question in the public?
Thank you. We have a question to Tanya and Dimitri. Thank you for your very precious words and messages. Tanya, you were insisting on speed before speed of reaction, speed of action, and so on. So during the process you came into in terms of governance and many aspects, how was your perception of the need of speed? Did it evolve, or do you have maybe a new perception of what is needed in terms of pace or speed, maybe precision, that maybe the equilibrium between all that?
Is
If I understood right, I asked how could happen the speed of and how we could improve the speed of payment or not.
How your perception of the needed speed evolved. How do you now perceive the speed needed, and how was it before? Just your perception, the way you think the whole
Speed for the speed of the insurance payment.
yeah.
Okay. I'm not a specialist in this, It could be a criterion, just a basic parameter for enhancing for enhancing the peoples to ensure our private priorities, our homes, for example. The and I think that it connects with the king of reliance to contrast could terms that what insurer says to me and what the insurance could give to me, it could be a reality in the real life. After this, I would have the payment. I would have as fast as I can the insurance pay because we speak with for losses that maybe, for example, it's a house and I want somewhere to live, somewhere to stay. So the speak of insurance payment, it's very important because maybe I would be homeless until they should until I take the insurance payment. And for this reason, because in Greece there are problems, especially with wildfires, maybe there are difference between the insurance reality and the real life.
1 minute. Okay, Justin. One more question. And when we finish, please don't get out of the. We need a picture of all of you, so let's stay there, please.
Yes, thank you. We're Lies, Michiel, and Masha from KBC, and also a co-colleague, Paulina, from LIZI. I have a question. Thank you for all the challenges and the risks and benefits that you shared separately. Do you also have like a combined overview of all these things that you can also share with the public? Because, okay, now you already explained all the projects separately, but is there like something that you discuss together and put it like in one overview that you can share with us? Thank you.
I can try. I think that the common factor here is the community practice needs the need to talk. Everybody needs to talk to each other because we need to understand each other's motivations, each other's values to do something, to take action. But that would be my comment, because we talked a lot. What there's no one size fits all solution, or about data, or about insurance strategies, or so. And so for the local context, everybody needs to talk to each other.
First, from a high-level perspective, you can share some insights, and I've heard word collaboration like more than 10 times this. But like if she's talking about a high-level perspective and not sharing insights with each other, yeah, where's the collaboration index?
Yeah, in good form. I find it hard not to make an analysis, but I hear your point about that within the project. Yeah.
Yeah, within the project, we have discussed. Do you want to say something?
It's so relevant. I think that maybe the main key goal or the main part is that we speak, for example, for insurance, or we speak for climate risks, and it's not separate. It's together, and I think that all we're focusing first on reactive methods and not post-damage models, not how we could pay a damage after the damage, but how we could protect all this not to happen. And the connectivity that you said, in our case, is the organization for madness is this exactly. The association of 9 municipalities. And this is very hard to become a reality because there are different mayors, different persons, different citizens, different conditions. And for example, there are data from our from 9 municipalities that are membered in ASDA, the Development Association, and we try to share its color and to see the different needs, but the common needs too. So I think again, for this to do other solution like a nature-based solution, for example, or all this. So I think that all, if I'm right, we have concentrated that it's not only insurance. Insurance is a part of action that is analysis, by the way, and actions that in actions could be insurance.